Hello everyone. Today's video is going to be very special because today I am with the man who turned no man's land into a scrolling land, into the heart of Mumbai, from chartered accountant to a accountant teacher, and now a real estate tycoon. And he was also ranked by Forbes among top 100 richest Indians. अगर आप मुंबई में रहते हो तो आपने इनकी बिल्डिंग्स के बारे में तो ज़रूर सुना होगा। जितनी ब्यूटीफुल और अमेजिंग इनकी बिल्डिंग्स होती है उतनी अमेजिंग और इंस्पायरिंग इनकी स्टोरी है। तो लेट्स वेलकम निरंजन हिरानंदानी सर। वेलकम निरंजन।
बहुत खुशी हुई आपसे बात करते हुए।
सर तो मैं आई वॉज गोइंग थ्रू योर जर्नी थ्रू टेड टॉक्स एंड मेनी इंटरव्यूज. So one question that arose in my mind was what inspired you to foray in real estate business? And since you came from a medical profession family, so how?
हाँ, मेरे पिताजी तो चाहते थे कि मैं मेडिसिन ही करूं, लेकिन मेरे बड़े भाई डॉक्टर बन गए तो मुझे एक चांस मिल गया कि एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप भी करने की एक चांस मिल गई। और मैं बीकॉम सिडनम कॉलेज से किया और फिर उसके बाद से चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंसी की। कुछ समय तक मैं इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंसी में लेक्चर भी किया। टेक्सटाइल यूनिट एक शुरुआत की थी कांदीवली चारकोप में। और आप भिवंडी से हैं, हाँ, भिवंडी में भी तो काफ़ी पावर उसके चलते रहते हैं, तो आपको इसकी जानकारी होगी। और उसके बाद में हम रियल एस्टेट में थोड़े गए, तकलीफ आ गई और मुझे टेक्सटाइल यूनिट बेचना पड़ा क्योंकि बैंकों की और पैसे जो लिए थे लोन पर उसको रिटर्न करना था, तो इसलिए। और फिर पूरे जोर से हम रियल एस्टेट में घुस गए। उसके बाद में हम पीछे नहीं देखे। सो पहले ये था मन में कि भाई प्रोफेशनल काम करूँगा, लेकिन धीरे धीरे एक एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप थी, एक कदाचित एक लग गई, तो अभी हम इसमें ही हैं।
Sir, you have made several transitions in your career. First, from being a CA to an accountant teacher, and then entrepreneurship. So, sir, I want to know that how chartered accountancy degree helped you in business development as an entrepreneur.
Any qualifications, any education always helps you in the world of business because you get certain skills, certain ideas about what is finance, certain ideas about accounting best practices, and it also keeps you constantly alert about the financial issues which are going around all the world. So chartered accountancy is definitely, as a professional qualification, has helped you. But obviously real estate or business is different. The domain knowledge is different. But certainly any professional qualifications, if you're an architecture, if you're a lawyer, if you're a chartered accountant, if you're an accountant, if you're a civil engineer, if you're a mechanical engineer, any type of engineering, all these disciplines are always useful when you really get into any entrepreneurship, especially in the case of real estate. So all this is always very, very useful, not for me, but for any professional who is qualified.
Okay, sir. Sir, what inspired you to develop integrated township model in real estate and why?
Uh, I built 11 buildings in Rokanwala complex. And every time I completed a building, I looked outside the building and I saw the streets were narrow. They didn't have lights. They didn't have proper stormwater drain. The quality of the roads was not good. There were no good environment which was there around me because I was not constructing everything. So there was an inspiration, a thought, an ambition in my mind that I will make a place where I will do all of it. I will make the roads, I will make the gardens, I will make the school, I will make the hospital, I will make the buildings. I will create the entire community center, the retail, commercial, where everything I will make. So everything will be like a township entirely made by the Hiranandani family. And that was the ambition that I had. And that's how I stepped into Powai, because at that time, of course, Powai was far away from anybody and everywhere. But we ventured over there and ultimately developed what is Hiranandani Gardens in Powai.
Sir, land acquisition in 1980s was a daunting task due to the red tape in the real estate. And one of the, in your past interviews, you have mentioned that the first 15 years of your entrepreneurship in real estate, no bank ever lended money to any the real estate developers. So how did you manage to raise funds and finance 250 acres of land buying in Powai at the time when nobody did this?
So there were two methods really. There was private money available at very high rates of interest, almost 2% per month. And that's daunting.
Yes.
And second, also the fact that such a large property when we bought, fortunately, I was able to get installers for the land. And there were issues on title which we had to clear. And those helped me to get a more affordable price for the property, because at those days, those titles were not clear of the land. So both these aspects of it helped me to do it. Private funding, which we did. And the third part, of course, was the fact that we did forward sales of our apartments, and we were able to collect money from the people who actually invested into these apartments. So both these things put together, we were able to actually fund the projects which were there. Difficult, I mean, very, very, very difficult. But fortunately now that is history. We did it, and that's all we can say, that yes, it was difficult, but we did it.
सर आपकी जर्नी से एक चीज़ दिखती है कि जब तक आपने करियर चेंज किया, चाहे वो चार्टेड अकाउंटेंट से अकाउंटेंट टीचर, फिर बाद में इंटरप्रेन्योरशिप में भी आपने पहले एक्सटेंड बिजनेस शुरू किया एंड इट वाज क्लोज टू 100% विद बाय यूनियन. सो इसके पीछे एक बोल्ड डिसीजन मेकिंग आपकी दिखाई देती है. और दूसरा सर जो क्वेश्चन आया कि व्हाट वाज योर माइंडसेट एंड स्किल सेट फॉर वेंचरिंग इनटू द बिजनेस?
I don't know about the special skill set that I had. I don't think I had very special skill set. But I did have a capability, and I still do have the capability to keep learning. मैं आज भी शिक्षक हूँ, और मैं हमेशा यही चाहता हूँ कि मैं जब तक मेरी जिंदगी होगी तब तक मैं सीखता रहूँ. I'm a learner. So what happens is that I kept on learning the subject, whether it was textiles, whether it was real estate. I looked at mentors who guided me as to how I should do the work. I looked at the best practices, not only in Mumbai, Maharashtra, or India, also in the rest of the world, how the best practices in real estate are doing. What are the good design practices which we can copy or emulate? And we kept on thinking that everything that we make must be very high quality and durable. So what has happened is, even buildings which are 25, 30 years old in Powai, they still look as good as new, because, the quality of the goods that we have made, and also the fact that we constantly, every year, upgraded our work. So I think, not that my knowledge was great or I had some special great intellect, but the fact that I had the ability to constantly learn whatever I was doing, whether it is construction, whether it is finance, whether it is other operations. And I still hope that I will continue to learn for the rest of my life.
Sir, one of the difficult phase of your life when you were admitted to the ICU for 23 times at the age of 50. So how did this health crisis in your 50s reoriented your outlook for life, and what changes did it brought at your personal level, life, business, and family?
So it was a very difficult time. And obviously, when you are going through that type of trauma, one doesn't not able to think forward at that time. But once the trauma was over, obviously I did feel that God was kind, and His mercies are there on my life, and He wanted me to continue living. But I thought, should I continue to live, or should I give back to society? And at that point of time, there was a mental change, and I did think suddenly that I must give back more. I was already giving back in terms of my township, gardens, recycling water, creating a hospital, working on my schools and other things. But after that, I made it a point to say that I would spend much more time, energy, and money for the purposes of all my activities. So also the association levels, Maharashtra Chamber of Housing Industry, MCHI, CREDI, NAREPCO, Indian Merchants Chamber, ASSOCHAM, National Housing Policy for the government, the Slum Rehabilitation Policy for Bala said, directed. I was a co-signatory with Mr. Afzal Purkar for the Slum Rehabilitation Policy. So I spend a lot of time, and even today, on not-for-profit activity for the industry, for businesses, but more for giving back to society in terms of education, schools, colleges, hospitals. And just now the government has given me a new university, a state university. Also, I have been appointed on the Mumbai University Advisory Board, and I'm stepping in the shoes of none other than Mr. Ratan Tata, who was my predecessor in this advisory board. So I think the humongous, I'm grateful to God Almighty that and blessed.
Yes. And you have also mentioned that, sir, what you are doing business is all the 1/3 of the business.
Yes, and I spend a lot of time on the other activity, time, energy, in all respects on a personal level. So on that and more, we have continued to do. And I think that incident in at the age 50s, I really think that probably pushed me to do more.
Absolutely. Sir, what do you think of the boom and bust in the startup sector and their significance in Indian economy?
There was no such facility for people who had innovative ideas to actually create in a short period of time good companies. With technology coming in and capital inputs being available internationally and nationally, a large number of people who are entrepreneurs, who have good ideas, which can be useful to society, can fill a service segment, suddenly was able to create startups, which have now become very popular in India, and we are probably amongst one of the largest startups in the world. So, but earlier that was not possible because you could do new entrepreneurship, but there was no big VC funding which would come to you for the purposes of enhancing your whatever idea you have. So now you have a combination wherein you have both. You have the ability to have new ideas, you have technology which helps you to leapfrog it, and you have investors who are willing to co-invest into your idea. So all the three being available, large number of young people are able to, especially those who are technology driven, to be able to take a leap in new ideas, innovative ideas, and that is called startups.
Yes. And you are also more into startups. You have recently invested in Goodfellows.
Yes, Goodfellows is an activity which takes care of the loneliness of aged people, and is a wonderful startup which is taking place, and we have done a small investments into that.
So, even at this age, sir, you have everything. So, what keeps you motivating?
I think I believe that if I have the ability, if I have the capability, I have the help at this point of time to take care of it, it is God's given. Because there are lots of people during COVID who died, people die younger, and that has happened in so many cases, even some of my friends, known people. But main thing is that when you are having your age and you have the health taken care of, then obviously you should do a lot more. Why should you think of giving up good work to be done? And man is better than an animal. The animal wants to get up, he wants to eat, he wants to procreate, and he wants to go to sleep. That's the animal's job. When and human beings are meant to do much for. So I do believe that I should continue to do as much as I can. I don't know how long and how long health and other things will be there. But as long as I'm healthy and fine, I will definitely continue to do whatever best I can.
Great, sir. So, what do you think? What are the qualities that an entrepreneur should have?
I think they need to have a vision. They need to have a plan. They need to have hard work. They have to see that they have a commitment to excellence, and they have to see that they are perseverant. They should be also ready to have stops, with hurdles in the way. They have to have pitfalls also, not only growth. And after falling down, they should be able to get up and start walking and running again. So I think all these qualities are needed for entrepreneurs to actually succeed in society and in life. And any entrepreneur who has had a long inning, gone through that. Some have gone through more, some have gone through less, but all of them have gone.
Yes, it's a
Part of being an entrepreneur.
Sir, what your view? What are your views on Indian demographics, financial literacy quotient?
See, the point is very simple. In any good country, the objective should be to have financial literacy, literacy for all. No matter what we do, the more prevalent the literacy is, the better it is for the country. And I think the objective under the National Housing Policy is also, in order to see that literacy is there for one for all, there's also the issue of skill development, because it's not just literacy in terms of knowledge, but also to be able to get literacy in those items where the jobs are available, which is more meaningful for teaching them rather than just any subject that is.
Right. Sir, how can youth cultivate financial acumen since primitive years of growth?
I think it's much easier for the youth today to actually learn easily, because you have the formal online education in colleges, schools, etc. You have a lot of courses which is available on an offline basis. You have a lot of courses in online basis, so you can study at any point of time in the day and night. You have the ability to access international websites and others for the purposes of knowledge and wisdom. So all in all, learning will always be a continuous process for you, and the ability to learn more all your life is what is going to make you successful. But the ability also for institutions to be able to teach what is useful to the people is going to become equally important.
Yes.
And as the competition goes on in the rest of the world, more and more appropriate language teaching, skill-based teaching, other thing teaching is going to take place in the next couple of years. That is something we have to focus on rather than just teaching.
Yes, absolutely. Sir, why, according to you, home is a safe bet investment asset? Why should millennials buy ownership homes?
Well, in India, there is no social security.
Right.
So housing one of the biggest security that social security that a person can have in his retirement time. So, and second, you get tax benefit or deduction of the interest on home loan. Home loans are easily available as compared to earlier for young people too. So a combination of the social need of Indians, Bharat, for getting a house. Second, to be able to maximize the returns on whatever you're doing as far as the capital is concerned. If invested wisely, even if you don't use it, we can get a return out of it in terms of rent or capital appreciation over a period of time. Both are equally available and applicable for it.
Sure. Sir, most of the Indians who are lower middle class, they invest their whole earning and savings into for buying a home. So, what financial knowledge a home buyer should gather before buying as well as renting a house?
See, when you go and buy a shirt or you go and buy a shoe, you don't buy it from the street. You want to go to a store which has got a reputation. So whether it's a Bata or a Sketcher or whatever the shoe brand, you take a brand. If you buy a shirt too, you try and go to a brand as compared to a non-brand. So obviously the companies which have actually delivered or who have a reputation of delivering the good, it is better to buy from them, because then you are sure that they are likely to complete the project. One. Number two, that they will keep up their commitment. So all in all, branded good companies, hopefully like us, Hiranandani's, we will attract more people for the purpose is not getting the advertisements or whatever it is from the local brands. But otherwise, of course, we can always build the brand.
one thing I would like to ask personally, which is personal question also, what made Hiranandani the success mantra of Hiranandani?
Have I think the pursuit of excellence, integrity of the company, discipline of the organization, consistently consumer centric, people centric, uh, civic sense of the company, wanting to give back to society in terms of various opportunities. But all that bundled into one actually created a reputation for the company. And hopefully we continue going last. So that becomes extremely important because everything that we are doing is people centric. So that is important. And I think if we are able to achieve that, it satisfy everybody. Somebody may be less happy and more happy, uh, but that's okay. But as long as you know inside you that you have done a good job in the school, in the hospital, in your project, in your commitments, in your agreements, in your daily, I think that's most important for it. You can achieve that position very happy.
Absolutely, sir. सर एक क्वेश्चन था कि जब आप कुछ क्रेजी बना रहे हो पर लोग उस पर भरोसा नहीं करते बिकॉज द विजन यू आर सीइंग पीपल आर नॉट एबल टू सी बट यू आर श्योर अबाउट दैट थिंग सो हाउ टू कीप गोइंग व्हेन नोबडी इज क्लैपिंग एट यू
So all the big projects that I took up, nobody believed that we could do it. So obviously we had to market it, we had to tell it. Now people don't think twice. When we say we are going to do a very big thing, they know, Hiranandani hai, isliye kare. So I think over a period of time, when you have a track record of things to do, people will trust you more than they would trust you when you didn't have a track. I think that's the story. So as we'll have a reputation or a good ethical quality of work, ethics in building business practices, as well as in other factors in TV. So they will get a better return on equity than anybody else.
Sir, share the wisdom of with the next generation demographic on the significance of financial literacy to capitalize any of life and career both.
Financial literacy is an education. The second part of it is also moralistic. Financial literacy is very important for the purpose of business or business. Second part of it, which you have said, is for the purposes of pursuing excellence, for the purposes of elevating ethics, do ESG in terms of environment, sustainability, governance. So if you combine both the aspect of what you're doing in terms of knowledge and education and working methodology, along with the second part of it, that is where the companies are bright and have ethical values and create reputation and purpose. Difficult to do so in the environments which we have, but that is what makes the difference between companies and companies. So a good company will be which is able to do more under those difficult circumstances than other companies.
Right.
So that's it. I mean, how do you say this is better than that? Not only in monetary terms, because that is the first leg which outsiders look at. But if I'm cheating somebody and making money, that doesn't make sense to me at least. So what you really need to do is to see that you have good best practices, and you should also make money. Maybe you're making a little less money because you're more ethical in your work and you're making better quality goods than other people are doing. But in the long run, that makes up for it. But maybe in the beginning, your contribution becomes more because people are not ready to pay you for the value which you have created. That's important.
That's right. Sir, according to me, my personal opinion, it is that हर इंडियंस को एक बेसिक लॉ और बेसिक फाइनेंस आना ज़रूरी है. द टू थिंग्स विच आर कि आज इंडिया में जितने भी फैमिली वाइज देखा जाए तो मोस्ट ऑफ द फैमिली हैज़ द प्रॉपर्टी डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन दैट लॉ. उनका कुछ ना कुछ लॉ से कुछ है. बहुत सारे लोग जेल में इसलिए उनको ये भी नहीं पता कि कौन सी उनके ऊपर धारा लगाई गई है. सो आई थिंक बेसिक अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ लॉ, know about their rights, and finance should be there so that they don't become scammed or fraud. So what do you think?
आपको हेल्थ के बारे में पता नहीं हो तो आपको बीमारी लग जाती है. आपको सपोज आप सिविल इंजीनियरिंग करते हैं तो आपको वो सब्जेक्ट पता नहीं है तो उसमें आप मिस्टेक कर सकते हैं। फाइनेंशियल लिटरेसी कंपनीज को भी चाहिए, इंडिविजुअली को भी चाहिए, लेकिन क्या नहीं चाहिए ऐसी कोई बात नहीं है। सो एनी सॉर्ट ऑफ लर्निंग विच इज अप्रोप्रिएट आइदर टू योर डोमेन एक्सपीरियंस और इन टर्म्स ऑफ ओवरऑल इम्प्रूवमेंट इन द वर्क, तो उसके ऊपर तो कोई सवाल ही नहीं है। जितना भी आपको जानकारी हो, नॉलेज हो, एक्सपीरियंस हो फाइनेंशियल लिटरेसी के ऊपर या कोई भी लिटरेसी के ऊपर, तो उसमें देयर इज नेवर गोइंग टू बी अ लॉस, देयर विल ऑलवेज बी बेटर। बट व्हाई लिमिट योरसेल्फ टू फाइनेंशियल लिटरेसी ओनली? सब सब चीज़ों में ज्ञान होना चाहिए, सब चीज़ों में हमें वी शुड बी फेमिलियर विथ और परिचित होने चाहिए। I don't think it's only financial literacy, but yes, it is important that you should have financial.
Yes, sir, one of the last questions, sir. How can people of India be financial literate, and what should colleges and schools should do to make this happen?
So, हमारे अभी जो नया नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी है उसमें से मैं दो अंग ले सकता हूँ। पहले अंग है कि देर इज क्रॉस डिसिप्लिनरी एजुकेशन, तो मैकेनिकल इंजीनियरिंग कैन ऑल्सो डू अकाउंट्स, मैकेनिकल इंजीनियरिंग कैन ऑल्सो डू योगा एज अ सब्जेक्ट। सो इफ यू हैव इंटरडिसिप्लिनरी एजुकेशन, उसमें ऑटोमेटिकली कोई भी सब्जेक्ट के साथ आप फाइनेंशियल लिटरेसी भी ले सकते हैं एज अ सब्जेक्ट, which is according to me the most important factor to those. The second part is there is now ability or proposal to make continuous learning everlasting. So मैं 72 हूँ, मैं भी स्टूडेंट बन सकता हूँ। मैं 7 साल पहले PhD किया at quite a late age. I did my PhD in housing. So एजुकेशन की ऑब्जेक्टिव, लर्निंग की ऑब्जेक्टिव हर उम्र में होनी चाहिए। सो कंटिन्यूस लर्निंग एंड द न्यू पॉलिसी ऑफ एजुकेशन helps us both in interdisciplinary learning, so a scientist can also be financially literate. And the second part of it is continuous learning at any age. So I think both these things become important to keep learning in this country, because you have to learn new skills for new types of businesses or occupancy that we are.
Right, sir. Sir, thank you, sir, for sharing your precious time with me. It's a dream come true moment for me personally.
My pleasure.